Welcome once again to my YouTube videos where we discuss social issues that affect our daily lives. Let me just get it clear out there that I am not doing these videos because my life is perfect. It's far from perfect. As you recognize, I'm not even a married man, right? Because the status quo in society that for your life to be near perfect, you have to be married, you have to have certain things, and you have to have children who are well disciplined and well mannered, and you carry yourself a certain way and so on. So my life is totally imperfect, and I make no bones that I'm from Trenchtown, right? I was born, raised, I still have my connections, yes, I have family there and everything. So we get that out of the way. So today I want to discuss three things mainly. Overpopulation, poverty, and sex. And I want to look at how are they tied together. Now, you recognize education plays a big part in where we are, or where we go, or what we achieve. Now, education is just a subset of consciousness. Once you're a conscious individual, and your consciousness comes from your level of intelligence, and people always tend to mix up intelligence with education, right? Consciousness comes from intelligence, right? Because when you're conscious, you embrace knowledge, and knowledge is intelligence, not education per se. Education is a part of intelligence, right? And we're talking about our education for us. Education for us is academic education, right? Now, if you check Jamaica, beautiful country, unique set of people, 95% of African ancestry. We have a different culture. Our socialization, we have an issue with how we are socialized. Don't mix up culture with socialization, because culture is the ways that people live, the customs and beliefs of a population. Socialization has to do with training how to conduct yourself in society in general, right? Now, poverty, how does that tie to population? Now, I've always said this: policies that are formulated by people are never formulated to affect those people who form those policies. And if you recognize, when slavery ended, the slaves still had to do 40 hours free of apprenticeship, and any hour thereafter they get paid for it. But what that tells you? The aim was to always still keep certain people poor, because if after you claim that you have freed me, and I have to work 40 hours before I can earn anything to improve my life and to find my daily bread, I was still in slavery. You check, it is still existing today, that the wholesale will sell billions of dollars worth of goods every year, and the salary to the workers themselves is next to nothing. So how can I work at a wholesale if I'm not educated enough to go on have a job as an accountant or to be a CEO in a particular company? How am I going to improve my lifestyle or my life of my standard of living if the income I'm earning is always going to tie me to working for the same money? Right? Now, population and poverty. I wonder if every poor man recognizes that the man who is rich, the man who is wealthy, most times has no more than 2 children. Sometimes one, Other times, none. So if the poor man wants to build wealth, he has to look at how many children he wants to rear. Because the truth is, when we build ourselves and we have children, we have to take care of our responsibility of raising those children. Just so that imagine somebody who works $10,000 per week and has 5 children, and each child has to go to school. Now, how can that poor man send his children to school, provide books, provide transportation, provide lunch money, and to provide money for himself to go to work and to pay his bills? It will be a difference, There will be a major difference if that same poor man is able to have probably a 1 child or 2 children, and out of the 10,000, he's able to stash away at least $1,000 per week or $2,000 per week, and use the other 8,000 to take care of his bills. Then later on, he might be able to save enough money so he can get into some investment, start his probably own business, and free himself now from working like a part-time slave for a businessman who doesn't care one iota about himself, about him and his family. Right? So I'm saying to you that we know as poor people to start looking at the number of children that we decide to have in a relationship. Because the truth is, you can't be poor and raising children as if you are rich. There are many people I've seen who have gone to school, they're very bright, but because they end up now engaging in sex too early, having children, have to get a work, a low paying job, which sometimes you have to do only work till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the night, which doesn't give them a chance to even go back to school to further their education. They end up now becoming stagnant and mired in poverty, all because we made the decision at an early age to start having children, and too many children. Think about it, right? Outside of that also, one of the things that we have not done, and I think I've also suffered from it as a man, is that our parents, our elders, did not educate us intensely about the consequences of sex. As I was speaking to one of my friends this morning, and she was saying to me that her grandmother always tell her that sex can be sweet and it can be sour. Sweet in that you can enjoy the moment, but sour in the sense that the consequences which comes after it might be life-changing in a negative way. In that a lot of our youngsters, they don't listen to people nowadays, and I'm talking about the ones nowadays. I don't believe that before now sex education programs were strong enough to stop our parents from having 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 children that they can't take care of. Because I was told at one point, land was like £2 an acre, English pounds. Our parents couldn't afford that. But yet they have 10 and 11 and 12 children. I know of one lady in Trenchtown, used to live in Trenchtown, she died now. 15 children. Out of the 15 children, 13 came to nothing. And what happened? They themselves, the one who came to nothing, they have children that they themselves they can't raise. They can't afford to raise. It's too expensive for them. Right? So we have to start looking at sex education as a fundamental tool in educating our children, our generation, going forward, to say to them that there are consequences that comes with our actions sexually. There are consequences. If you go in any ghetto right now, one half of the homes have children who are sleeping on the floor like myself, who used to sleep on the Trenchtown. Because my mother had 6, 7 of us in one room, right? It's just that over time we get big and people just leave out. But up to a certain point, all of us, and plus we have other relatives who come stay in that one room. How is that good now for my development as a person? Think about it. How is that good for my development as a person? So all of those things, sex, having too many children, leads to poverty. Leads to poverty. And we are not saying that we are here, that all of us can be rich. But at the same time, most of us can, with reasonable and logical actions on our part, can eke out a decent standard of living, can raise children in a manner which is becoming of proper citizens in society, right? So until we start looking at that in an intensive way, in an exhaustive way, look at all the different avenues, right? If you check again the schools that exist in the inner cities, 99% of the schools in the inner cities are not only overpopulated with students, but they are non-performing schools. Why is that so? Because these are children who are coming from homes where parents are not so much educated. So they have nothing to pass on to their children educationally, right? And as a result, these children totally depend on the school system to get an education, and the school system alone cannot educate our children. We have to have parents being a part of playing a part in educating our children. And we continue to have children coming from these homes in the inner cities, in the ghetto, where the parents are totally uneducated. And as a result, these youngsters come to school and they don't perform. And as a result, it contributes greatly now to the school, with all the best of the systems put in place, with most of these schools in the inner cities being non-performing organizations, institutions, right? So where do we start in trying to correct the problems of poverty, overpopulation, education? How do we correct those problems? How do we start looking at, because this will not happen overnight. It will happen probably the next 10 years. But remember, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles didn't start with one step. It started from a dream, it started from an idea. Where are the ideas to change the cycle of what is happening? Because these things don't play out in the wider society. And what we end up now, having crime. Let nobody fool it. Crime is tied to poverty. But crime for me is going to be a different topic altogether on my YouTube channel. Right? But I just want to highlight the fact that when we engage in sexual activities at an early age, or we're not educated about the consequences, the result is us being overpopulated, poverty-stricken, all of those things. So when and where are we going to change all of that, and by doing